Hi guys, this episode brought to you by Scottish Grappling. Scottish Grappling doing events throughout Scotland throughout the year. Next event is going to be SGI 7. SGI 7 is going to be held in the usual place in Maryhill Community Centre on Saturday the 14th of March. Event kicks off around about 4:30, runs till obviously finish, but usually around about 10 o'clock. Tickets are available on the Eventbrite website, which you can get the link through the Scottish Grappling page. So promises to be obviously a good night. We've got the under 75 tournament that's going to be going on, and it looks like a stacked card at the moment. Obviously a lot of big names on there, a lot of familiar names, so yeah, promises to be a fantastic event. So yeah, keep an eye out for obviously updates for that through the Scottish Grappling page. Next competition event is going to be the Glasgow BJJ Open. Glasgow BJJ Open will be held on the 5th of April, so that'll be Sunday the 5th of April. This is a gi only event. It's going to be held again at the usual place, Scotstoun Leisure Centre in Glasgow. So yeah, as I mentioned, gi only event, so obviously they're going to have juveniles, going to have adult division, masters, and obviously the seniors division as well. So obviously absolutes are going to be on, so there's going to be some absolute prizes as well. So again, James and Gary will keep everybody updated through both Scottish Grappling page and the Scottish BJJ community page. So hi guys, welcome to StoomCast. So today I'm joined by Arizona Mercedes Brodie. Arizona was the second black belt, female black belt in Scotland, which is obviously a massive deal. Obviously more and more now. There's a lot more females getting into jiu-jitsu on the back of obviously Arizona, things that Arizona's done, and a lot of the females, especially ones I've spoke to, always speak about Arizona in high regards. So they've always got very, very good things to say about you. So obviously fitting as well, it's International Women's Day today, so it's a very, very fitting that we've got you on, Arizona. So as I mentioned, black belt, got black belt under Gold's Gym in Aberdeen, and then obviously at the moment is just kind of floating between gyms, obviously looking to kind of set herself a base for the future. So Arizona, it's an absolute pleasure to have you on.
Thank you for saying all those lovely things. That's so nice.
Listen, anybody I've ever spoke to, as when Giles and Christiana, we were talking about you, and I said everybody kind of holds you in high regards, as I mentioned. So as I say, it's absolute pleasure for me to have you on. So how's everything going with you at the moment in regards to training and so on?
Things are going quite good. It's been a weird period for me since I left Alex Gym Gold Team in Aberdeen last year. I left there, I think, like probably about February time last year. So it's been just over a year since I left, and as I say, it has been a bit of a funny period for me. Kind of, it was such a culture shock leaving that gym, and things are very different kind of outside of that environment, I guess. So it's been quite an adjustment for me, and I don't know if you know, but I've had back surgery before as well, and I had a few flare-ups with my back, which is kind of maybe sort of, question, myself, like, can I do it, at times when I've been feeling low. But things have been feeling pretty good recently, I think I've kind of almost sort of come to the end of that cycle of like questioning and not really knowing, and I'm kind of like, okay, no, this is what I want to do. This is, I'm ready to move forward. So I feel pretty good. I feel really good, especially this last like 2 or 3 weeks. I feel like ace.
I mean, jiu-jitsu is funny like that. I mean, obviously you've been around for a number of years now, so obviously you'll have your ups and downs, as you know. So it's when the ups are there, it's absolutely fantastic. But then obviously the downs, obviously whether it's injury or things outside of jiu-jitsu, kind of hold you
definitely.
back.
So I think that's like a really fantastic thing about jiu-jitsu or like just martial arts in general, is that like, kind of personal journey that goes along with it, rather than just like the sort of, you know, the physical part, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. And then, so for you then, Arizona, what got you into jiu-jitsu? So where did it all begin for you?
I trained like some martial arts when I was very young. You know, I think I was always kind of mostly always involved in something sporty, or kind of I'm used to using my body, you know. But I think it was my brother was training boxing for a while. When I was much younger, I think I was about maybe 16, 17, and but he's got like a skin issue, so I wasn't really healing from like a cut that he got once, so he decided to like move into more MMA, so he wasn't just only getting punched in the face.
Yeah.
And the place he started training at was doing like a lot of jiu-jitsu. It was SBG actually in Aberdeen, back when it was called Aliveness Gym. And me and my mum used to always go and like pick him up from class, so I'd see like the end of like, you know, like last 15 minutes or something. And just when I saw it, I was like, wow, you know, that looks like something really cool, you know. I'd never really seen a martial art quite like that before, and it was, you know, it wasn't just sort of like fancy moves and stuff. It looked really real, like, you know, proper fighting. It was very, you know, close contact. It was like wrestling. So it was very interesting for me, you know, and I was quite hesitant to start for a long time because there was no females on the mat at the time. Or, no, there was one, but she wasn't there that regularly, I would say. But it was my mum that actually, like, convinced me to get on the mat. She was like, come on, Arizona, come on, let's do it together. And so we started together, and then after that I was just like, oh my god, whoa, I love this.
It is, I mean, it's very eye-opening. I mean, anybody that starts jiu-jitsu, I mean, obviously the first thing I remember when I first started, the thing I had to get my head around was obviously the kind of close contact. Now, obviously I'd watched the UFC, you'd seen the UFC, which is kind of where a lot of people kind of get into jiu-jitsu from, but it was being in someone's guard or being that close to them, and you're sweating on each other and things like that. So how did, when you first went onto the mats, how did you adjust to that? Was it just a natural thing for you, or was there any adjusting that you needed to make?
I mean, it was definitely quite a weird thing to do. I was very lucky that I had my brother and my mum there, you know, so it wasn't just me completely by myself in a room full of strangers suddenly being expected to like get all close and stuff. But you know, having my mum and my brother there, I suppose, made me feel a bit safer, and I don't think like once you start getting into it, you kind of lose that physical barrier thing, you know. And especially when the people you're training with are like people that you feel quite comfortable around, or you grow to feel that sort of closeness with, then I think the barrier dissolves quite quickly. Definitely.
And then you mentioned, obviously, for you, when you first started, there was only one female at the time, obviously in your gym, which they weren't coming on a regular basis. So for you then, as obviously you've been training with kind of pretty much males the whole time. How have you found over the years, obviously with more and more females getting into jiu-jitsu? So how do you kind of feel about that? Because obviously for you, I mean, you were one of the kind of people that, as I say, when I spoke to Giles and Christiana and other people as well, you're like one of the kind of main reasons why a lot of girls, when they're in jiu-jitsu, a lot of females continue doing it. So
well, you know, I don't really feel like much of a sort of like, I don't know, it's kind of weird to think of yourself as a person that other people are looking to, like, you know, sort of as a model of the future or something, you know, but I feel very happy that I could do that, you know, because I've been training for a while, and I think it's kind of almost easy to forget, I'd say, how much of a journey it has taken me to get to this point, you know. So when I'm able to sort of get outside myself a bit and think about it from someone else's perspective, I suppose it is like a thing to be very proud of, and I'm really, like, you know, pleased to sort of be where I am now. And I think it's absolutely amazing that there is so much more women training now. You know, when I first started, as you say, there was no one, and it felt like quite a sort of out there thing to do, whereas now there's just loads of women fighting, and it's like commonplace for women to, you know, just publicly enjoy fighting. You know, it's not like a thing that people are like, oh, women shouldn't fight or whatever. You know, and you get to see women being amazing fighters as well. We bring because we've got different bodies, different ways of moving and stuff. You know, we bring something really unique to the table, and I think that's just really, really cool to see. I think that we all benefit from having all different kinds of people on the mat, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the other person that kind of spoke about you a lot was Lorna Kinnock. So
Yeah.
Lorna, yeah, I mean, obviously we'd put the post up saying we're going to have you on, and Lorna was all excited about it because, again, Lorna's one of these people that, as I said, when we spoke about you, she looks up to you. And you are, I mean, you are definitely a role model for females, not just in Scotland, but obviously further afield as well. So,
you know, I as I say, like this last year has been a bit kind of weird for me, but I went to Victoria Coates, of Rising Phoenix BJ. She organised a women's open mat at the beginning of the year, and there were, oh my god, it was amazing when it turned out it was like 52 women on the mat or something. It was incredible. I'd never seen so many women training in one place before. But that was like such an inspirational day for me because there were so many women in that room who, you know, I got a chance to train with. And, you know, they were saying that it was, you know, I could just see in their eyes like how empowering it was for them to see like a woman standing in the room wearing a black belt, and I just like really just felt so just grateful to like be standing in this position, and I just you know, oh god, it really just like lifted me right up, and it just made me feel so inspired and motivated to like keep going, you know, and like keep being that person that can, you know, raise other people up. So well, it was great.
I remember seeing the pictures of that. I mean, it looked like a fantastic day because, again, obviously me I've been training for about 6 years, and I think the most women I've ever seen on the mat at any one time has maybe been 3 or 4 women in a room full of maybe 30 guys, and some of the hardest roles, in fact, believe it or not, has been any of the females that I've ever rolled with. So I know Lorna Kinnock obviously rolled with her, and Lorna comes at you, and I always laugh with Lorna because I'm like, Lorna, I'm 100 kilos, and you're what, I don't know what you are, 55, 60 kilos or something.
I love it.
You're coming at me like, do you know what I mean? I'm the same weight as you or anything like that. And, same with people like Erin Wilson down in Vikings.
I've heard of her.
Yeah, doing flying arm bars and things like that. And, so, but
it's
great.
Fantastic.
So it was great to see obviously the pictures at Rising Phoenix and seeing obviously how many females actually on the mat at any one time. So as you mentioned, there was over 50 women turned up for it, which was absolutely fantastic. And more women that get involved in it, obviously the better. And as
100%.
To have a role model like yourself, obviously seeing that they can achieve a black belt is absolutely brilliant. So so how long?
Right now, I've got a huge smile on my face. Thank you.
So how long have you been training for now in total, Arizona?
I think it's probably 11 years. So I don't think that that's actually that long, but I would say that in that time, I really, really took it very seriously. Not long after I started training, I decided that was like what I wanted to do with my life, you know, so I pretty much like kind of dropped out, almost like, you know, I didn't really like complete university properly, and I just decided to focus everything into training, you know, like every aspect of my life was just what, you know, how could it be fit around training, that came first, and I made a huge amount of sacrifice over the years, you know, to put training first and put in those hours and the sort of mental focus and stuff. So it's been a very mindful, you know, 11 years, very focused 11 years. Yeah,
definitely. And then you also, as well as obviously training, you compete as well. So what was your first competition? What belt were you at that time?
I was a white belt. I think I was like maybe training for about a month and a half or something. It was I didn't even, I'd say, really know how to break fall at that time, so I went into this competition. It was like a Scottish grappling one, and I think there was like 3 women in my division or something. One was a blue belt, and she was like quite like a taller, bigger lady. One was like a judo black belt, but she was in as a white belt, and then another last day I think was like another white belt or something. And like I got absolutely dominated by the blue belt. I think I maybe went against the other white belt, possibly. And the judo black belt, like I think that was like my last fight or something, and she like hip tossed me so badly, and I didn't even know how to break falls. I ended up actually like really injuring my ribs after that fight for a little while, you know.
Yeah.
But it was a great experience, you know. It was, oh my god, it's so thrilling, you know. I was just like, oh, what is this, you know? Totally inspired me to keep going with that.
Yeah. And what kind of thoughts? I mean, when you compete, because obviously anybody I speak to, male or female, they always get your nerves and things like that. So how do you, when you're going to compete, even now, what goes through your head? What kind of feelings have you got?
I've done a lot of work to focus on, or to kind of train my mentality before competition. I think it's very important to, you know, I've had all spectrum of experiences in competition. Of one of the most sort of ones I've learned the most from, or that really stands out for me, was one time I was just so focused on winning and things having to be exactly as like how I planned that they would be, that I was just controlling the fight too much, and I really gave myself like almost like tunnel vision, you know. I just completely closed myself off from opportunity, and I was so rigid and inflexible. And after that, I really decided that I wanted to just, I mean, obviously go in to win, but not hold on to the outcome in such a limiting way, you know?
Yeah.
And obviously, like, you know, before competition, you put in the work beforehand, and that's what gives you the belief going into it that carries you through to the win, you know, like, you can't, you know, go in and not do the work and expect to win. But yeah, so I do a lot about, like, breath work and stuff before I compete, you know, about making sure that I'm in a state that is relaxed and responsive, that isn't, like, panicked and jittery, and, you know, where I feel like I could almost like fall over because I'm so unstable and stuff. You know, I do like a lot of grounding work, and I think a lot before competitions about times when I felt in the zone, and I really focus on what it feels like to feel that, you know, like a lot of visualization and stuff. So that by the time I arrive there, I feel very, you know, I feel almost like I'm in training, you know, that same level of being open and, you know, having that variety and stuff, but then obviously, like, you know, really going to the 100% with it because it's a competition, you know.
Yeah. And then in regards to your competitions, obviously you mentioned the first one being at white belt. So what's been for you the kind of highlight? Because obviously, as you know, everybody's got a competition that they've done that's been their highlight, or a medal that they've won, trophy or something like that. So for you, what's been your main highlight in regards to competing?
That's an easy answer. It was definitely the last competition that I did, which was the London, Abu Dhabi, like Grand Slam tournament. I'd just come back. It was my first competition after back surgery, you know, and I really, you know, many times during the recovery from back surgery, I never thought I would be back to training. You know, I just couldn't even imagine it. I was so far away from being able to do anything physical for my body. So that was a brown and black belt division, and I fought in that, and I managed to win a gold medal at that. And I was by myself. You know, like I did, like two of my friends came along to support me, but like my coach wasn't there. And obviously, like, you know, I'd had back surgery and stuff, so I was so scared about if I could go to that extreme with my body, if I could still do it. But I managed to win, obviously, and I just, oh God, the feeling afterwards. And, you know, I'd been through so much as well, just like personally as well, and it was just, it was probably the best feeling of my life, to be honest. Such a feeling of just proudness of myself for sticking it out and getting to this point and everything that I'd achieved. And it was an incredible feeling, amazing feeling.
Yeah, I mean, that must have been a tough one, especially because obviously coming back from back surgery, because obviously you've got not just the nerves of the competition, the competition day nerves, but obviously you've got that in the back of your head as well. So
yeah, definitely. It was a tough one.
Yeah. So what kind of, again for that one, what kind of thoughts were going through your head? So what was your competition day thoughts?
Well, I remember, I think I was kind of like looking back on times when I was competing early on, and I would look at other girls and I'd be like sizing them up. I'd be like, oh my God, she looks big. Oh my God, she looks strong. Oh my God, she looks like so technical, whatever. And I'd really just like, you know, I not psych myself out of it, but, you know, I would give these other people all these advantages and not to my own, you know, advantage. So I decided to kind of reverse it in this competition. I was thinking how other women were looking at me, you know, were they looking at me and thinking,
Yeah.
you know, she looks so strong or whatever. And I really made sure that I wasn't thinking anything about them and, you know, anything that would maybe break my confidence. I just made sure that everything that I can control, which was me, you know, was focused and controlled and deliberate and looked, you know, ready and not uncertain, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And even my physical movements and stuff, you know, like I made sure that, like, you know, obviously, like I did nice, like, dynamic warm up, but I wasn't kind of like jumping around nervously and letting, you know, kind of letting that energy sort of take over me.
Yeah.
So I felt very, very calm and very good going into those fights, you know.
Yeah. And I noticed that a lot. I mean, a lot of people, when, especially obviously teammates of mine, or even other people, when they go to compete, they always look at their opponent and think, oh, look at the size of them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They look scary. They're going to do this and they're going to do that. So, is that? I know you mentioned it there, but is that something that you think of, or are you just thinking, do you know what? All I need to concentrate on is my own game. Never mind anybody else's, how big or small, or is that something that you do?
I think belief, like, really carries so much in a fight. You know, the person who has the most belief or kind of almost like the strongest will in a fight can almost be the determinant. So I really take care about what I think to myself before I go into the fight. You know, I don't think things that would almost break my belief or, you know, my willpower that would make me doubt myself. I just don't let those thoughts enter my mind at all. You know, as exactly as you just said there, I just focus on me. How do I feel? What am I putting out? You know, my breathing, keeping my heart rate like in a good place. You know, just myself very inward.
Yeah, definitely. Because as I said, I do it, and that's thing that when people when like I say, some of my teammates, whenever they've looked at people and they think, oh, that guy's like 6'5", and I'm only, well, me especially. I mean, I'm 5'4", 5'5". And fighting the super heavyweight, and everybody I fight seems to be 6'2", 6'3". But when I go in, what's going through my head is, well, I'm 5'4", 5'5". So for a 6'5" guy to get down to take me down, I'm going to see that coming from a mile away. So. And that was something that I worked on, I'd say, coming through white belt and obviously into blue belts and so on, is nobody's taking me down. And I was quite successful with it. And then, and I think over the years in competitions, I think it was about 6 or 7 competitions I'd been through before anybody actually took me down, and it was a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Sorry, not a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu blue belt, who so happened to be a black belt in judo as well. So
you know,
he took me down, and that was the first person that had ever taken me down in like 7 competitions. So I was quite happy with that. Yeah, so I was very happy with that. And then, but I'd say when I see my own teammates looking at people thinking, oh, he's about a foot taller than me, or look at the size of him, and so on.
You can't do that. Yeah, you can't do it. You've got to be, you know, like I say this to people a lot, you've got to be your own best friend, especially in a stressful situation, you know, in any context. That mental chatter that you've got going on inside, you know, it makes a huge difference to what you can output to the external world. And if you're thinking those self-defeating thoughts of, you know, oh, they're bigger than me, you know, which, you know, means I'm small and I can't, you know, I'm not strong enough or whatever. That's you can't even let that thought enter your mind before the fight, you know.
Definitely. We obviously have that saying in Scotland, the bigger they are, the harder they fall.
Exactly.
It's very, very true. It's very, very true. So,
and the thing is as well, you can't even judge a person by their size, you know, because you just never know. And that's the beautiful thing about fighting is, you know, any person with any body can master their own, you know, way of working their body in a way that's so unique to them, you know, and they could just bring something totally surprising to you and God, even to just assume that someone, because they're bigger, you know, is going to be stronger, you never know, you know. And if you make an assumption, then that means you're blind to something when the fight is there, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And then for you, then in the lead up to competitions, what's your typical routine then? So obviously in preparation for the competition. So how far out do you start preparing for competitions?
Probably like, I guess when I decide that I'm going to do them, you know, I start thinking about, even if it's not the physical part, say it's, you know, quite far away the competition is, but certainly the mental part I would start doing as soon as I've decided I'm going to do a competition. And, you know, even the physical part, as soon as I've decided I'm going to compete, I've got that in my mind, and so my target in training becomes a bit different, and maybe I'll start to, you know, kind of almost like compress my game down a bit, or focus more on what's better rather than just any old, you know, experimental thing. Obviously, like, I mean, it's been a little while since I competed, maybe about a year and a half, or possibly even 2 years. I'm not sure. But you know, a good variety of different exercise, and it, you know, like cardio, a lot like circuit training and stuff. Obviously, like loads of, you know, jiu-jitsu, a lot of takedown work as well. I feel like people tend to neglect takedown work, you know, but personally I really enjoy it, so I do a lot of focus on that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And then obviously with you then 11 years ago you started SBG. So where how long did you stay with SBG, and what belt did you get to at that point?
I stayed with them for maybe a year or two. Don't think it could have been more than a year or two. Definitely not more than 2 years, I don't think. And I was white. I mean, I was technically a blue belt when I left. There was like just sort of silly drama when I was a bit younger, you know, like I've grown a lot since I first started training, you know, and I think back then I was a bit of I wouldn't say that, you know, I think I could have done things better back then, you know. But I left SBG as a blue belt, awarded by Eric's coach, a guy called Mariusz Linka. I've been training with Eric for a little while, whilst also training at SBG. And then Mariusz had decided to offer him, you know, he was over for a seminar, and he said that he thought I was at that level, and I was hoping to compete at the Europeans very soon afterwards, so he promoted me, and then I kind of ended up having to leave SBG, and I went on to the Europeans and actually like did quite well at the blue belt level, so I was quite pleased with that. And then I stayed with Eric pretty much until February last year.
And then obviously, because obviously I know Eric, obviously I've met Eric at a few different competitions and things like that, and obviously spoke to him, and the guys up there obviously seem to do like a lot of wrestling and things like that. So when you obviously going from SBG over to Eric's gym, was that your kind of first kind of introduction to possibly some wrestling and things like that?
Oh God, let me cast my mind way back. Possibly. I'm not sure. I don't even think that Eric was doing that much wrestling back then. But he had a very different game, you know, very, very different kind of game, not like anything I'd seen before. And I was very impressed when I did roll with him, you know. Just again, I'm quite drawn to that kind of different expression of jiu-jitsu, so I really liked his style. And then certainly over the years, you know, wrestling became quite a big part of our training. A lot of no-gi training, you know.
I know that because one of my guys, a guy I know from back in the GB days, Big Sean, I know that he obviously trains over at Eric's, and because he was originally, I think he was like a Gato blue belt, and then he moved over to Eric's, and obviously he trains on and off. He doesn't train a lot now, In fact, I think he got his purple belt recently, last year.
Is he training at Matt's gym or Eric's gym in Aberdeen?
Eric's one, yeah. Eric's
Okay.
Sean Wilson. So.
Oh yeah, Sean. I know Sean well. Yeah.
So one of, I'd say, a good friend of mine from back in the day.
Aye. He's a good lad.
He his game changed obviously when he, because obviously when he first started, all he'd been kind of accustomed to was jiu-jitsu, and then obviously when he went over to Arix, he then got introduced to obviously wrestling and things like that as well, which did improve his game. So I know that we always laugh and joke, because me and Sean, every time we talk on Facebook, I'm like, Sean, you need permission from me if you're going to come past Forfar. So, and then he'll say the same thing to me. He's like, Stuart, if you're ever coming to Aberdeen, make sure you hit me up first so I give you permission to come into Aberdeen. So we always have that laugh and joke. So, and again, over the years for you, I mean, there's a lot of characters in jiu-jitsu, as you know, a lot of different types of people. So, what about you then, over the years, obviously, what kind of characters have you met throughout the years?
That's an interesting question.
Yeah.
All different kinds of people, which, you know, someone alluded to earlier, is so many different kinds of people come to jiu-jitsu with all different backgrounds and motivations, and that's a really interesting thing to see, you know.
Yeah.
And all different attitudes as well, you know. There are the kind of real sort of like Punisher, kind of, you know, hard-working people that just, you know, just push themselves to the limit all the time, and it's just, you know, it's just about that punishment.
Yeah.
People who have I'm quite interested in meeting people who have wider experience than just jiu-jitsu, you know, who are coming to it with that sort of broader martial arts perspective. You know, so they'll maybe take aspects of other martial arts, or maybe just kind of that almost like martial arts code, you know, just a kind of way of being, the martial arts lifestyle, you know, very much about kind of mindfulness to many different aspects of your life, you know, and a kind of, I suppose, a level of morality and kind of ethics and stuff. I quite like that, to see that. There have been, you know, people come in with issues who have really, you know, I've seen them grow through the sport and really just, you know, completely open up and become an amazing version of themselves that you never would have expected them to come. Not that you didn't expect good things for them, but, you know, they've just really come into their own, and that's a beautiful thing to see. Or of course the people who come into it who maybe have that sort of more negative reason for coming in, you know, maybe just want to kind of be a bit of a bully, or you know, feed that tough persona, you know, kind of almost feed their insecurity in a sense, you know.
I mean, that's the good thing about jiu-jitsu. I mean, as you mentioned there, you get someone that comes in that if they've got that big ego and they come in, jiu-jitsu will humble them to a point where it'll control that ego, or it'll control that. If they're an aggressive person, eventually they'll learn to control that, and then vice versa. You've got someone that comes in that's maybe not as confident, yet they'll excel, and they'll become more and more. You'll see them on the mats, and you'll be thinking, after training with them for a couple of years, thinking, look where they've came from and look where they are now. Which is
I mean, I mostly agree with what you say there, but one thing that I would say is that not every person who is good at jiu-jitsu necessarily will automatically, like, you know, become a good person. And yes, you do get a lot of humbling experiences through jiu-jitsu, but that doesn't necessarily always, like, relate to a person being a good role model or making, you know, positive decisions. You know, it's like that whole thing of, like, not assuming that just because someone's a black belt doesn't mean that they, like, are God, or, you know the right answer to everything, and, you know, they should be your sort of Bible for life or whatever. Definitely. And obviously with you being a black belt, do you get, because obviously you mentioned there, I said, if people asking you questions and all that, so do you get people maybe messaging you, asking you questions, or even obviously in the gym asking you advice and things like that? Yeah. I have mostly like I have like a wee sort of group of folk that um, you know, I share my sort of knowledge with and stuff,
Hmm.
and not like because I'm like selective or anything, just just because they ask me questions, um, and I feel like I do have a bit of a different perspective on things because I've got the experience of being in Eric's gym and SBG before, and
Yeah.
just also very much being my own athlete as well, doing a lot of work myself on how I want to take an approach to things. So,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah, and you know, just as you were saying earlier, the whole kind of role model thing, being able to offer your experience and encouragement to people, because just even just like a huge thing that I got from Marius Linke, Eric's coach, was his belief in me. Like I read a thing recently about how many sort of success people are like, oh, you just need to believe in yourself. But
Hmm.
many of the most successful people actually had somebody else believe in them first, and then it was
Yeah.
through the other person believing in them that they managed to find belief in themselves, but often it does start with someone else. So I just got so much benefit from Marius really believing in me. I feel like I managed to go much further than I probably ever could myself
Hmm.
because he was just so sure that I could do all these things. So I definitely would like to be that person for other people. And I'm not just doing it because it's like, oh, anyone could do anything. I I see a lot of unique value and skills and the sort of people that that I support and that I have around me. So it's nice to point those things out and
Yeah.
yeah, just boost them up.
Definitely, and it is important. I mean, even in kind of any sport, to have someone that's got that belief in you and believes, and again
Yeah,
pushes you to, as you mentioned, to do things that you never even thought were possible.
exactly. Yeah.
And I know obviously jiu-jitsu especially, because obviously doing jiu-jitsu, I mean, and again, obviously from my personal experience, being a smaller person fighting
Mhm.
giants and being told,
Mm,
Stuart, you've got this is yours, this is exactly what you're going to
mm,
do, and then going out there and as I say, achieving things that, for me especially, things that I've
yeah.
done has been absolutely brilliant. So, and
Uh-huh.
again, that all kind of stemmed from the belief from my coach or my professor and teammates and things like that. So
Yeah.
it's definitely
Yeah.
important. Yeah.
I think that like belief as well shouldn't just be like lip service, like, oh, like you can do it.
Hmm.
I think as a person who's raising another person up, you've got to really like focus on the things that are actually there in the other person and be like, this is why you're fantastic, this is why you can be great.
Yeah.
Because for a person, in my life, I've been a very self-doubting person at times. And, when someone has just done that generic, like, come on, you can do it, you're just like, like, screw that, like, I can't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. And then for you, and again, go back to the competing. What weight division do you compete at?
Like a heavyweight division for women. The different competitions have like different weight divisions.
Yeah.
So, but I suppose my sort of competition weight is like 78 kilos
Hmm.
thereabouts. So
Yeah.
I could go lower, but I've never, for a long time the weight divisions for women have been so like spread apart. It's not even
Yeah.
been like under 60 kilo to over 60 kilo category. Like I've never cutting to under 60. So there
Yeah.
hasn't been like a huge motivation for me to do any serious weight cutting
Yeah.
so far.
Yeah.
But times are different now. The weight divisions are becoming more and more sort of refined, I guess. So
Yeah.
it could be something for the future. And I have thought about it, like I still am dabbling with the idea of a few MMA fights maybe before
Hmm.
I get older or whatever. So
Yeah.
that would definitely be something I'd have to do about weight cutting for.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. And do you normally when you're competing? Because again, anybody I've ever spoke to, when they talk about competing, and they
Hmm.
cut weight for it, maybe a few
Mm,
kilos or whatever. So
yeah.
do you ever cut any weight for the competitions, or would you just naturally go in at whatever weight you're at?
I mean, through the process of like just training harder, trying to eat foods that'll get you energized and help you recover and stuff, you do get down to a more sort of athletic weight rather than carrying anything sort of
Yeah.
extra. But and I've had to like, haven't had to do any serious weight cutting, so I'm quite close to uh, my naturalish weight. You know, I'm probably a bit heavier just now, maybe like 83 or something. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah. And then in regards to the competitions, who up until now, who's been your, or what's been your favourite fight? Because again, everybody's got one fight where they've had and it maybe pushed you to the limits of, again, what you thought wasn't possible, or so who's been your best fight so far?
It might actually be a fight from way back. It was back in the Blue Belt Europeans. I fought this woman from Poland who was very, very confident for a blue belt, you know.
Yeah.
I think she had like a judo background. But you know, she came into the fight with that, like, you know, confidence and just almost, you know, when somebody just comes in like a wall of force, you know, you're almost like, almost intimidated by it. So
Yeah.
she came at me, and I think we had a real battle, you know. She was so strong, but I was so determined at the time as well to win, you know, after what had happened before. So it was a real battle of wills, you know, and I was just fighting to the absolute death. It was fantastic. I'm pretty sure she won the first time, but I think that we had a second fight again, maybe like in the absolute or something, and I was just like so determined. And in the second fight was just, again, it was just like so scrappy. I'm pretty sure I think I maybe just like won in the last like couple of seconds or something, and it was just by like a sliver, but it was such like a hard, you know, constant fight. There was just no break, and it was such a like kind of personal like battle to get through that one. I think that one really, those fights really stand out for me. There's been other ones where like I've won and it's been great and I felt like really in the zone and stuff, but the sort of battle of willpowers and the real kind of like, come on, you know, that was definitely that blue belt fight was amazing.
Yeah, I mean, some of the fights like that are always the ones where it kind of pushes you. They're some of the best fights that you're going to have.
Tell you, like, I've had some really good fights. I used to train over in Poland a lot, and I'm quite a strong lassie, I would say. And when I was training over in Poland, and I was really like at my peak at that time. Oh God, I was an absolute machine, so fit and so strong.
Yeah.
I was training with guys there who were like big athletic guys, you know, guys who are black belts, and they would really not hold back with me, you know, because like they knew that I was strong. So I had some proper, like, honestly, like to the death fights there, and I feel like that has given me a lot of power to be able to dig deep now, you know, for competing and stuff, because I know that I've been able to like literally almost like feel like I'm going to the death, like huge guys, you know, that are just not holding back, and I'm like, if I can do that, you know, I can do a lot of things. So
yeah, and then obviously been training then with again been training for 11 years. So again, you'll have seen all sorts coming and going. But when you, and again, I was talking to, I think it was Lorna Kinnock about this, saying that has there ever been a time where she's been on the mat where she's maybe rolling with a guy, for instance, and they've went at her like she was a guy of the same weight or anything like that. They've been an absolute dick on the mat, basically. So so has that ever happened with you, and how do you deal with that?
Sorry, and what was the second part? Sorry.
So how do you deal with that if it did happen or does happen?
At the beginning, I definitely didn't know how to deal with that when it happened, you know, because I didn't really have the skills or the sort of personal strength.
Yeah.
But nowadays, if I'm not in a place where I'm willing to go, like there with them with that, then to be honest, nowadays I kind of almost just like do the opposite. If they're just being, you know, too like strengthy and just not really being a good role, you know, like I tend to just like I don't rise to it, you know, and I just make sure that I stay very, very calm, you know, and I just almost like negate their actions through moving more slowly than them, and I just make sure that I really don't ever push past that point of trying to like meet them on that level, because then it just keeps escalating, you know, and then somebody ends up getting injured, or it just doesn't end up being a good fight, you know. It's just But then there are other times where actually I really like, you know, going super hard with, like, especially big strong guys, you know, because like I said, you know, when I've been really feeling like great with my back and stuff and been feeling very strong, I really like I actually get a lot out of those almost like adrenaline fights, you know. But yeah, I mean, if it's a case of de-escalating it, I usually don't even like say something to them because half the time they don't really like take it on board, or they might get defensive about saying something. So I just kind of like, you know, just don't say anything, just like, you know, move on to the next one.
And as that for me especially, I mean, I've seen it over the years. We used to have a Polish girl train with us, Sabina, and Sabina was she was very, very small. Sabina must have been 50 something kilos, but whenever you rolled with Sabina, Sabina would come at you like it was an IBJJF World Championship final, which was always great. But again, obviously, being a heavier guy, not just with females, but with male training partners as well, that are smaller, being heavier, I've got to not apply similar amount of pressure that I'm applying 100 kilos. So
absolutely.
So whenever you were rolling with Sabina, and Sabina would, if she felt that you were holding back, she would stop mid-roll and basically in broken kind of Polish accent would say, you either come at me or I'm going to fuck you up. So
fuck, but whoa, she sounds like a scary
man, Sabina was crazy, man, absolutely crazy. I mean, she ended up getting her blue belt at the same time as I got mine, and then she moved back to Poland, where obviously she's training over in Poland, and as you mentioned, the people that she's training with are big guys, like 80, 90, 100 kilos, just full of muscle.
And like pure athletic as well, not just like strong, you know. Oh my god, some crazy people.
So it's the two ways. One, the any training partner could be a dick with anyone, or vice versa. There maybe not being that
absolutely. When I think like when I first started training, I kind of realized that sort of like side thing, you know, because my mum, who's smaller than me, like she would really have to almost like go quite hard, you know, to match my weight, and then your sort of natural reaction is to like match her level, but because you're so much stronger and bigger, when you go to that place, like it negates her, you know. She's got to go to that place just to be on a level with you, you know. So you've really got to become conscious of like kind of holding yourself back, and not holding yourself back in terms of technique and stuff, but just that power thing, you know. And I think that's a really good skill to learn in jiu-jitsu, is being able to roll like, you know, almost to like the person's size, or and like I say, not like holding yourself back technically, but just learning how to like withhold and then like put out that power, you know.
And it is, I mean, not just well, both people are getting something from the role, regardless of how they're rolling, because if you're a bigger
you can
person,
literally learn from anyone, you know. Every single person has something to teach you.
Because if you're a bigger person, you're rolling with a smaller person, then you can maybe obviously use a bit more technique or try different things. And if you're rolling,
you know, like rolling with smaller people as well, it can like be really hard to pass their guard because there's just no space that you can fit into, you know. So it really makes you, unless you just like, you know, use your power. So as you say, you do have to be more technical in some ways.
Definitely. And smaller people are an absolute nightmare to roll with. I mean, one of the biggest pains in the arse is to roll with is Shea Montague. So, because he's I mean, Shea will do all the inverted stuff, bearing bows, and you know what I mean, he'll just tie you up in knots, and you'll be thinking, and again, very, very small, 50 something kilos, and you're just like, how is this small guy beating me? So,
I know, it's so inspirational. It's just, that's how jiu-jitsu is just so amazing, you know. You use your body in these ways that you never would have dreamed you could use your body, and if you hadn't started training, and then that gives you all these crazy advantages where, as you say, this sort of weird guy, you know, can really just put you in a knot and literally like checkmate you, you know. Like you can just be like, I literally have nowhere to go right now. It's so humbling, and it's just, oh god, it just makes my mind explode sometimes. It's just so fascinating.
It's absolutely brilliant. I'd say the smaller people, male or female, to watch are absolutely brilliant to watch. So, because obviously the bigger, especially the bigger guys or females or whatever, there's a lot of power involved. There's a lot of do you know what I mean, strength and stuff like that. Whereas the smaller guys is just absolute technical ability is unbelievable to watch. So it's always
I often say, like, you know, when you're smaller in jiu-jitsu and you first start out, you know, you can feel just like crap because you're always getting smashed by the bigger people. But in the end, you're the one that's developing the more technical game because you've always had to fight at that disadvantage, you know. So by the time you do get to that level, your technique is really down, you know. You're not just managing to like muscle through everything.
Definitely. And then what are we gonna see next from yourself then? Because obviously I know that you mentioned obviously you're looking about for a kind of base at the moment. So what are we going to see from you in the future?
Well, I definitely, like, I feel, as I say, I've sort of come to the end of this year of questioning and, like, you know, what's happening next, and I feel quite certain that I've still got definitely, like, a good amount left to achieve in jiu-jitsu and martial arts in general. You know, it's a lifelong hobby, so I really, 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 really this year, like, maybe towards the end of the year, I would really, really love to compete again. I feel like my back is ready, or I feel like I can do it, you know. I feel like I can get my back to a good place. I feel like I can get everything in order, and yeah, I'm going to be competing by the end of this year. There, I said it. It's happening.
Nice.
But yeah, that's what I would like to do.
And who would you? I mean, if you had to pick a dream match, or maybe not even a dream match, because you know jiu-jitsu. I mean, you can fight against your idols. You can fight against the best people in the world and things like that. So, who would you like to be standing across the mat from?
Oh, God, that's a big question. I mean, like, part of me wants to say Gabby Garcia because ever since I was, like, when I first started training, I was always like, I'm going to get her one day, you know, because you know, I'm, like, taller and stronger and stuff. I was always like, yeah, I would love to have a go with her. But, you know, for someone kind of more modern, I mean, that Fionn Lassie just looks incredible. I've heard she's so good, you know, and obviously she's wee as well, so she would be a crazy fight, you know. That would be so difficult. So I would love to fight her as well, you know. But I mean, there isn't anyone that I would say no to, you know. Everyone's got so much to bring to the mat. An amazing opportunity to learn, you know.
Definitely.
So,
I mean, mine was always Rodolfo Vieira. And I went to there was a seminar at the GF team last year, and what Rodolfo did was he rolled with, basically he went down in the middle for the last hour of the seminar, and he rolled with every single person in the gym for 2 minutes at a time. And then it came to me, and obviously my teammates and stuff like that, I kind of knew that he was the guy that ever since I started was like, you know what, one day I'm going to be a black belt and I'm going to fight this guy.
Love it.
And he wouldn't stand up with me. He said, no, we'll go down for, because he stood up with everybody. And then he came to me and he's like, looking at me, obviously.
Oh, maybe he knew about your takedown thing, you know.
Well, he kept, he said, right, you will go down on the ground because you look like a little truck. Right, so I was like, right, okay. And then he kicked my ass. Do you know what I mean? So, and one of the things that people find difficult is guillotining me. And Rodolfo Vieira guillotined me, no problem at all. So,
okay.
But it was good. It was a great experience. And I said, yeah, one day, hopefully, when I'm a black belt, and we'll get the chance to kind of meet each other in a competition.
I love that.
And I said that to him. I said, look, one day me and you, and he's like, yeah, one day.
I love that. That's amazing.
So yeah, I mean, it's that's my idol. So it's but again, that's the good thing about jiu-jitsu. I mean, you can go to a competition and fight these people, like, say, your Gabby Garcias, your Fionn Davies, Mackenzie Burns, or Rodolfo Vieira, whoever.
And people say this all the time, you know, like in football, you couldn't go and train with, like, you know, the stars of the sport, but in jiu-jitsu, you literally can do that, and that's just, it's just incredible. We're so lucky to have that opportunity.
Definitely. And then, for you, if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, what would you be doing?
I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea, because jiu-jitsu has had such a huge impact in my life, and it's kind of almost been the cause of sort of, or it's been attached to like other things that have happened as well, and all of that has just really shaped the direction of my life. And I feel right now that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I feel very much sort of satisfied with where I am. So I honestly have no idea where I would have been. Maybe, I've had some pretty dark days in my life, to be honest. If it weren't for jiu-jitsu, I probably could have gone down a pretty bad hole and end up in a pretty bad place, for a long time. So if it wasn't for jiu-jitsu, then
definitely. Jiu-jitsu, it does change lives. I mean, obviously, everybody always says it's a cliche when they say that, but it definitely does. I mean, jiu-jitsu gives so much to so many people. And so it's great, obviously, that we have jiu-jitsu. I mean, 15, 20 years ago, probably, I don't know what we had, karate and things like that at the time, but and then obviously jiu-jitsu kind of came in Scotland, and then ever since it's just got better. So, and again, is that over the years, have you just, because again, you've been around 11 years, so how have you seen it improve over that time?
I think one thing that's awesome is that jiu-jitsu is kind of actually seen as almost like a cool thing now, like before when you said I do jiu-jitsu, people were like, well, what the hell is that, and then they look at it and they'd be like, well, what the hell is that, but now when people actually understand a bit more about what it's about, it's actually, it's like, oh, that's very cool, people know that it's like a really smart martial art, and it's very sort of intellectual or problem solving, It's great to see as well the evolution of jiu-jitsu. People, that's one thing I absolutely love about our sport is that it is absolutely like infinite. People can do, when you discover a new use for a certain part of your body, that just opens a whole new web of moves and directions and concepts, so it's unlimited, and I would love to see where jiu-jitsu is in another 10 years, what crazy things will we be doing then,
And I noticed that yesterday. We were at the Dan Strauss seminar yesterday, and Dan Strauss was talking about there's 3 steps in jiu-jitsu. He says one, if you're an inch too far to the left, then the person can escape or can do this. If you're an inch too far to the right, then they can escape a different way. But if you get it bang on in the middle, then if you're doing a hold or you're doing like you get shown an Americana. And he said if you get it bang on in the middle, it's absolutely sweet as. So, and it was all about the manipulation of the joints and things like that. And he was showing us this Americana, and again, it was something that I'd never seen. Obviously, I knew how to do an Americana, but he was saying, obviously, push the arm. What was it he's saying? Keep the back of the wrist on the ground and just pull the elbow down and lift it. But the way you lift it is you need to throw your hand in, and the way he showed it was almost karate chop their arm to then get your grip. And it was very interesting. I mean, and as I say, there was a lot of people. There was obviously brown belts and stuff like that on the mat. We're looking at it, I think we never even thought of doing that. So
it's amazing the details. Just tiny little things that just has such a huge effect. And just what you're saying as well about the like perfect, submission or whatever, when you actually do those things, like the perfect timing and the perfect sweep or whatever, it's just literally a thing of beauty,
Yeah, definitely. And then for you, final thing for you then, Arizona. Obviously, it's been a long journey, 11 years. Obviously, hopefully, we're going to see a lot more years coming from you. But anybody that you want to kind of thank, obviously, because I know there's going to be a lot of people, training partners and stuff like that. But if you had to kind of pinpoint some people that you would want to thank.
Well, I mean, I know I would like to say thank you to Eric. I don't really see eye to eye with him these days, but he did contribute a lot to my game these days, and did help me through some hard times, even though I disagree with some of the things that he does, but he does deserve a thanks for that. Marish as well, just for that belief. That's been huge for me. But more recently, I would really, really like to say a big thank you to a whole bunch of different people that I've kind of met up with since leaving Alex. People have been so welcoming for me leaving that gym, and it was such a big thing for me to leave there. And just to have those like open arms from sort of most people in the community has just been so kind. And I know it's a bit of an awkward situation in a sense, because like I'm walking in as a black belt and there aren't many other sort of black belts in Aberdeen, so kind of a bit of a weird dynamic sometimes, but I really appreciate that people still are willing to share their knowledge with me, and I really appreciate it. And I've got to say a special thanks to Giles and Christiana as well, who've just stuck by me through all of the years, and are just such a source of positivity for me, and really people that I sort of aspire to be more like. So there's probably more people, so many people.
There is. I mean, there's always because obviously when I ask that question, people are like, I'd like to speak to thank all the training partners and stuff like that. But then I mean,
everyone,
years,
you don't get to where you are without the people around you. I mean, technically it's an individual sport because you're, it's just you fighting, but it's your whole team. It's everyone that's around you that makes you who you are.
Yeah, definitely. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, Arizona.
It has. Thank you.
I'd say I was very, very, ever since speaking to Giles and Christiana, I was very excited about getting you on, and as the fact that you're a role model to so many kind of females that are coming into jiu-jitsu, as soon as they hear about you, and especially obviously a female in Scotland wearing a black belt, it gives obviously other females the hope that I can get there. I can definitely get there. So so
that's great.
But it's been an absolute pleasure, as I said. Hopefully we'll see more from you. Hopefully you get back competing by the end of the year.
Yes.
I'll definitely be excited to see that, and then I'm sure at some point me and you will meet up with each other on an open mat or something like that.
Yes, that would be good.
Definitely get a few rolls in with you, Arizona.
Aye. Yeah, that would be fantastic. I look forward to that.
Perfect. Well, listen, thank you again, and you enjoy the rest of your day, okay?
Wonderful. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. So, guys, that was Arizona Mercedes Brodie. As I mentioned, Arizona, second female in Scotland to achieve a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. An absolute, for anybody getting a black belt, is... I'm pretty sure, obviously I'm not there yet, right, but anybody I've ever spoke to black belt, anybody getting a black belt is an amazing achievement. But obviously for, again, to be the second female in Scotland, and I believe there's still only 2 females in Scotland that have actually achieved a black belt, but as I say, with more and more females coming into the sport, as she mentioned there, obviously Rising Phoenix had a female-only open mat, and 52 women on the mat, 52 females on the mat, which it's unheard of. I mean, as I said, for me, anytime, obviously we're training in the gym, I think the most I've ever seen is about 3 or 4 women on the mat. And so to see more and more females coming into the sport, into jiu-jitsu is absolutely brilliant, because it helps everybody with things like self-defense, confidence. Anybody comes in with an ego, it boosts the ego a little bit. Anybody that knows me obviously knows that's definitely the case. And so yeah, I mean, Arizona is definitely a role model for females, not just in Scotland but throughout. So it's always great to have people to look up to and say, well, do you know what, I want to achieve what they've achieved or what they've got at the moment. So it gives you hope. And again, I said obviously for females, but not just females, but males as well. Anybody that comes into the sport, we look at black belts and think, do you know what, we can achieve that. That's greatness. That is in a lot of cases, that's the main goal, is to achieve black belt. But as Arizona said, she's achieved black belt, and she's now looking at continuing the journey, hopefully getting back to competing at the end of the year. So I'll be very, very excited to see Arizona step back on the mats in competition. And hopefully one day she'll get the fight with Gabby Garcia. I say there's not many people out there would have picked Gabby Garcia, because Gabby is... Yeah, Gabby's a monster, man, an absolute animal on the mat. She's done some amazing things, so to look and say, well, do you know what, I would want to fight her, is, yeah, absolutely brilliant to see. Obviously, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best, and as I say, Gabby Garcia over the years has been the best, so hopefully one day Arizona will get the chance to step across the mat or be across the mat from Gabby Garcia. And I'm pretty sure Arizona, I mean, you heard her motivations, obviously talking about her lead up to competitions and things like that. So if that fight ever did happen, then she would go in mentally and physically prepared for obviously the task in front of her. So hopefully we'll get to see Arizona obviously in Glasgow. I know that obviously good friends with Giles and Christiana, so hopefully she'll be down for maybe seminars or open mats and things like that. So I'm pretty sure our paths will cross, and we'll be able to get obviously hopefully a couple of roles with Arizona. So but yeah, absolute pleasure to have Arizona on. So I hope you enjoyed that one, guys. But listen, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.